Welcome to another episode of the Executive Digest. I'm here with Lucas Schnöller from WebRTC Ventures, who's going to tell us his cutting edge work from his abode in southern Brazil. Lucas, welcome.
Thanks, Adam. How are you?
I am good. I am good. You're in winter now, aren't you, down in Brazil?
Yeah, I am.
Especially
I am.
health as you are.
Yes, it's not terrible winter, but it is. Yeah.
All right. So please introduce yourself, your company, what your business is, and the products, and of course, your AI strategy.
Yeah, sure. WebRTC Ventures is a company that provides solution for like software solutions for companies generally in the US, Canada, and Europe. And we specialize in this technology called WebRTC. That's where the name comes from, WebRTC Ventures. And this technology is behind all these types of real-time software, like the one we're using right now, like Zoom, or anything that has to do with communications in real time. So for that, WebRTC is the key. And for over 10 years, we have specialized in this type of applications. And we also provide other sorts of software solutions. The company is built in two parts. There's another section called Agility Fit, which has more of staffing, and you can hire people basically from all South America and the rest of America, and we provide solutions for that as well. So it's quite two segment kind of company, and we focus on those two main things.
Great. And what is your AI
So
strategy?
yeah. All right, so let's jump right into it, right? I think it's a hot topic. One of the interesting things about AI is that since I would say, yeah, the last couple of years, right, when it exploded, Gen AI in particular, we are adapting at fast pace all the time. There hasn't been a strategy that lasted more than 6 months for us, so we're continually changing. And I think one of the biggest challenges we have in that area is being able to adapt at the same pace that the technology is changing. So we want to remain competitive. We want to remain building software, like quality software, secure, performant, and fast, right? So you need to take advantage of the technology and at the same time continue to deliver the quality you used to deliver. And that's the challenge. And in terms of strategy, we're trying to basically build AI in all our SDLC and try to use it as an assistant for every different segment of our processes. The important thing for us is how to make it right. It's not just about prompting the LLM and having AI just basically just working out of the blue. We provide like a whole strategy to bring context to the LLM.
Is this applying it to how your engineers are working when you say in the SDLC? So it's using it as a code assistance, or is it going into the product itself, or both?
Both. Yeah, definitely. So there's a line of work that happens internally for us to be able to acquire these tools and use them responsibly and efficiently so that we don't take more time than it actually takes to code, then reviewing and doing all the things that we need to do when we use this technology. And then at the same time, we provide solutions for our customer in this field, right? Like we work, as I said, with real time WebRTC, and there is a huge demand for using AI tools in that area. From like you've seen probably with Zoom, suddenly it provides summaries, it listens to what you're saying, it processes it, and there are a wide variety of applications in the real time space, so in WebRTC space in particular. So we specialize on that to provide to our customers. But when you say the strategy, I thought you meant more like internally how we adopt it for ourselves. And
Both.
right.
Both are in play and both are changing
Yeah, exactly.
on a regular
Exactly.
basis. So that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. But let me ask, as you implement it inside, what are some things that have gone and what have been some lessons that you've learned?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely many lessons learned. I would say the thing that we have learned is that the technology is as smart as the context that you can give it, as the context you can give it to it. So it's, for example, I think it's pretty normal to think that if you had Einstein here, but he would live in a black box, he wouldn't know anything about the surroundings. He wouldn't be able to use his intelligence at all. He would be pretty stupid, actually. So what made Einstein so great is that he was deeply involved with whatever was happening at his time, and he had all the context from the probably the tradition in science that came hundreds of years back, but also applied to his surroundings and what was going on around him at that time and whatever solutions he was trying to find. So I think an LLM is pretty much the same way. They can be as intelligent and as dumb as the context you can provide. And for us, we I guess the main learning thing is we need to be able to provide it enough context and automate it so that our process doesn't take more time to provide that context than what it would take us to do the thing we want to do. Otherwise, if you don't provide the context, it's dumb, and then you take a lot of time reviewing what it did and redoing it, right? Again and again. I think there's a huge difference, obviously, when you're talking about a POC. This technology is awesome to do a POC. It's actually brilliant, and probably a lot of people will be able to come up with a POC. But we deliver software, like quality software, and that's a complete different deal. And this is what it's pretty hard to tell to people that are not from the software space for a long time. So they think like they can do anything, but you're like, no, just run your software in production and with a good load of people or users for a while, and you'll see what we mean. You'll have all kinds of problems, right? I would say this is basically our main challenge and the part that we've been learning. To be concrete, I would say one thing I could tell our listeners is that it's actually the opposite of what naturally I would have thought at the beginning, where I thought, oh, this will make like junior developers like senior developers. So now they have so many tools, and we're going to have like junior developers that actually perform like seniors. And what ended up happening is that junior developers, they don't have the 10-year experience behind them. So they start introducing silent bugs, what I call silent bugs, because they look real, and without a really good review, you will not get them. So they start using the technology and start introducing silent bugs that will explode 6 months forward. But on the contrary, I would have thought at the beginning, senior developers, they already can do this and pretty fast. So what's so good for it? And actually, it is with senior developers where I've seen the biggest augmentation, because now they know not only what they knew, but because they know the base of software, they know how the hardware works, assembler, they know C, they know the whole stack. So they know when a loop is efficient or not, or when, things are going wrong. Now they can do so much. If they were focused here, now probably they can be focused here, because with these assistants, they have the base to augment themselves like a lot. And they're awesome reviewers for the AI even. If you get Cloud Code or something more automated, they are the ones that can actually use it, because they are the ones that they know when Cloud Code is screwing up. So it's totally counterintuitive to what I would have thought. I used to think maybe a year back or 2 years ago. So what we're doing is we're trying to make junior developers use AI as a tutor, not as an automation tool for coding. So they can learn quickly. They have their own tutor where they can ask anything, and most likely, if they digest the knowledge, it's going to be very fast, their learning curve, rather than sitting back and letting the AI code and then reviewing it, which is what senior developers are starting to be able to do pretty good, like efficiently, without errors, solid code, because they can review it and quickly say, no, this needs to be changed around and moved or here and there. And they will be able to maybe not 10x, but maybe 2x their speed with very good code. So it's not 10x, it's not 20x, it's not like stupid things that I hear out there, like for quality software, but it is definitely 2x or something like that. Yeah, and they spend a lot of time reviewing. It's still a lot less what they would have taken coding. So for them, it's been good.
You remind me of two big lessons on this, on life and productivity in teams. One is, and this is a wonderful wisdom when I'm working with leadership teams, and to remind them that actually, as a manager and as a leader, the things you want to delegate are the things you're really good at. So that's
Great.
actually the game, right? So you can delegate these things that they do in their sleep. And because what you need in the senior folks is them to be thinking about the next thing, as well as, and this goes to your point as well, one of the reason you want to do that delegation is because what you can quickly assess whether it's being done correctly, and you can coach the person very quickly on how to do it better, which is, when you think of it, exactly what you want to be doing to developing the folks around you.
Exactly. Exactly.
You've got a
Yeah,
junior
actually,
developer in AI, and you can do it. You delegate the
yeah,
simple stuff.
totally true. And to your point, if you've seen this week, Cloud Code launch a new feature where there's a lot more explanation. Like you put it in a mode that I think it's awesome for maybe junior developers that are using this. So it explains step by step what it did and why. So now you can get into the thought process, which for junior developers is really useful and needed for them to learn. And still, it will make maybe some mistakes and all that. But in general, especially for traditional solutions or things that are not so much out there in terms of how complex the solution can be,
Yeah.
it will get them to digest and then, oh, look, when you want to do this, you formulate this way or that way. Or even if it's doing a mistake, it's much easier to get it because you're like, oh, why is it thinking about this? This doesn't make sense, right? But if you don't see that thought process, then it relies on your experience and you might not have it.
And I just missed, which product were you referring to that just came out with your
Code?
Cloud Code? Sure.
Code. Yeah. Yeah, I think another thing we learned is, which is super important, we're starting to get better at this, is now we're doing something that I thought it was never possible. I was actually on the, I would say, other side of the street of this, which is TDD. I used to hate TDD with passion.
And so me and our listeners what does TDD stand for?
Yeah, so TDD is test-driven development.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's a way of producing software where we call it TDD in many ways, but I'm talking about the strict way, it's the actual real way, which was to come up with the definitions in a very specific kind of language, English language, which is called gherkin, and then creating unit tests from that definition, and then actually creating the code. And you won't be able to deliver the code until the test passes. The problem with this is that in theory, it's fantastic. It sounds amazing. It's like you'll never get an issue in your code. And it's true, but you never get anything to production too. That's why I hated it. And I thought was academic BS to me. It never sounded like a real company that had delivery pressure to put features really like as fast as possible, iterate really fast and go like that. Could be in a strict TDD mode, right? Maybe there were, but at least I could never implement that. That's why I was like, no, look, I'm a delivery guy. I want to deliver quality code and deliver is my main focus. What happens now is that actually TDD and other tools like the linter in the IDE. So the linter for our audience is basically a program that runs in the IDE, which is a program we use to do software, and it corrects things that might be wrong in your code. So all these tools now are great for AI. So suddenly what used to be a nightmare for humans, it's actually brilliant for AI. So suddenly our SDLC has changed or is starting to change where we are making tests be the guardrails of what the AI is doing. So for example, rather than making the AI develop and then review and figure out there are a lot of issues and go back and do again, that takes forever. We do
Pass this test.
Exactly. We actually we use their assistants to create the tests. have a very quality type of test suite beforehand. And then it goes off just whatever, and it comes back and it automatically goes back and forth until it doesn't pass the test. It doesn't deliver, which is amazing. Suddenly you see some magic happening. This is the first time I saw that. I was like, oh my God, this is really magic. Because now it really wouldn't deliver anything that is totally screwed up. It needs to pass the test. It can be that there might be some errors in the middle still, like you need to review, but now we're a lot more aligned. So suddenly these old tools that were very stiff and very hard to use with a human team, with an AI assisted team, they are brilliant, and they're becoming part of the solution for us.
That is brilliant to hear, and that's exactly the thing. And you get to really put the machine learning to work, because it can try random things, and eventually it will come up with Shakespeare just in rewiring its network and learning. Brilliant. All right, so I'm gonna skip a couple questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
I'll do this. So when teams are not able to deliver, what do you think are the root causes?
When teams are, not able to deliver, you said?
Yeah. When your teams fail, when the product doesn't get out, when the schedule slips, when, the customer is not happy at the end.
Yeah. There can be a number of reasons. I think one of them, especially when I feel we are responsible for it as a software developing company, has to do with weighing the features and quality of the features and with the delivery. So sometimes we tend to think that the client values certain, maybe, to give an example, like that the application will be able to handle 1 million users. When we misinterpret what they're trying to do, for them, it might not be actually a feature at all. Like they're thinking, hey, I just want to put an MVP out there. If it takes 100 users, I'm happy, because then I can go to the investors and I turn around and I get to the next round, and then we'll make it 1 million people proof, user proof. So I think when we're not able to interpret, especially the subtle requirements of the software, then we tend to take more time at the end, like we tend to miss a delivery. And so it's a misalignment of the expectations and requirements of the client. And I think even if the client is expecting that, if we already know that beforehand, that's going to take us longer. If we present the question to the client, do you prefer 1 million users, or do you prefer this deadline or this other feature? But we figure out that's going to be an issue to have them all together on time. Maybe I think that part is a big one. We tend to be, many of us, very perfectionists, but we are at a lab and we don't see the realities. There's a business that needs to have a certain specific thing to prove their business model or to sell whatever they're selling. Yeah, that misalignment, I think, is one of the big things. Then in terms of, I think another thing that is a big problem, I don't know if it applies exactly, but for us, it seems like miscommunications is our biggest problem. There's, along our internal team, we need to pass information all the way one side and then the other side. And there's so many hubs in the middle, so many people in the middle. And when that communication is not fluid, when the process is too complex, where there's more communication to be done in the middle, so we're lost in translation, basically. And that makes us very slow. And even though we put the requirements to the minimum, we still cannot achieve them if there's not a fluent communication process, basically. So we're not able to communicate. The tools, it can be the people, the language. There's so many things. Imagine that we work with people all around the world. So this is a huge problem. Like English is not the first language of any of us, or many of us, let's say. Then there is these time zone issues. So I think we got pretty good over the years to mitigate this. I think that's one of the beauties of WebRTC Ventures. But definitely that's one thing that we look very closely.
Excellent. And good reasons. And you have to, in the face of a cruel entropic universe with these types of challenges, you have to figure it out. And or you wouldn't be here. So well done.
Totally.
Okay, here's your chance to look brilliant.
Mhm.
What is your hot take that you think other execs should be thinking about?
You mean executives in general or in the software industry or?
What you can decide, just share some of your wisdom, and they say be a wonderful example or be a horrible warning. But what is something that they may not be thinking of that you think they should be thinking about?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So even though everyone is thinking about AI, I think the pace in which this technology is changing is so fast that many people feel anxious because they see it's developing very fast, but they cannot grab a handle on how to start implementing it themselves, like in their own process. Like they see, oh, the new LLM here, the new LLM. If you see social media, everything in the world is about, all the news is about, oh, this new feature, this new thing that you can do, and everyone talking about it, and suddenly you feel like, oh my god, these are all fantastic technicians. They know everything about AI and I know nothing. And I feel like rather than getting into that frenzy, it's good to start doing what you can, thinking that long term is going to be a real deal changer for everyone, but that will take its time, and it's taking the importance of being prepared rather than the urgency of I haven't done anything. So
Mm.
grabbing whatever you feel like could be a good first step and start implementing it, and not thinking about what's the new thing, the new big thing. Just go simple and say, how can this technology help me out? And that will start, when you start using it, you see very easily the limitations it has, and you start thinking how to mitigate them and how can you be prepared to use it for your benefit, given how it is, right? So I would say thinking about AI is definitely an important thing. And also, if you don't you can do it in your own process of your company. I think that's where it works best, because AI today is an assistant more than anything. But in your products as well, start thinking, okay, what could be an easy use of this technology where I could add something to my product? So then it's a continuous delivery or a continuous process that will continue to go, right? Yeah, I would say that one is definitely important.
Excellent. I think that's a brilliant insight and so important because we're all running around. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it fast enough? And the reality is, you don't know. So the way to proceed in this kind of complex system is do something and iterate on it. And you're
Right.
with room for mistakes, but that's how you navigate a complex adaptive system.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you. Do something and worry later, maybe.
Worry while you're
Uh,
doing it.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
drinking water and eat well.
Yeah, at WebRTC Ventures, like we definitely have been riding this wave, and we, just like everyone else in software, but I feel like we already passed many hurdles. So we feel like we are really prepared to help everyone on this as well, right?
Yep. Good. So, last question, or at least before the secret question.
Okay.
What are two blogs, podcasts, articles, or books that you'd like to recommend to our listeners?
Yeah, yeah. So really listen to the main podcast, Lex Friedman. I listen to Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett, and a few others that are really mainstream that most people probably heard of them. At least what I feel is so magical about them is that they they can get you the really real deep insights from the people that are leading whatever interests you have. But in the case of AI, the companies drive AI and all this. And I feel like that's so much more helpful to understand than reading news sometimes from third party reporters or whatever that are analyzing, which is interesting as well. But I feel like when I have firsthand, is what I really love about this new era of podcasts, or for the last 10 years, maybe, or 5 to 10 years, that now you get direct connection with these people. And so whatever podcast you enjoy that have these guests, I would recommend everyone to take the time and hear. Go ahead.
So give me the two succinctly, that if you had to pick two, what
Yeah.
is you recommend?
So I would recommend definitely Lex Friedman. And there's one I like a lot. It's called Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the secret question?
Yeah, of course. Let's do it.
All right. What is your favorite vegetable?
Oh, I'm a vegetarian, by the way. So I have a lot of favorite vegetables, as you can imagine. But I would say, let's see how you say it in English. It's a seed, pumpkin seeds. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. They're not the kind you might imagine. Like they're sold, like they're green, and you can get a big packet of it. And they're very tasty. They're amazing. They're a great snack. They have more protein than egg in the same weight. It's an amazing thing you can get to, especially if you're a vegetarian. You need to eat more protein since you might not get the protein from the meat. So yeah, they're amazing. Like they're a great snack, and you can use it in salads. You can use it, you can powder and then put it on top of whatever pasta or whatever. They have a lot of usages, and it's very healthy, and very tasty as well.
Wonderful. And we will get a link to where you can buy those.
Great.
Good description. So we'll do this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun, really insightful. And thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Adam. It's been a great opportunity and a lot of fun.